Good morning. It is Sunday, September 4th, and I'm going to be doing a quick drive here at FSD Beta 10.69.1.1 from my house here in Northeast Minneapolis to a breakfast location that we're going to in St. Paul. I previously did this drive in FSD Beta 10.4, somewhere around that time frame, and obviously behavior was pretty rough around the edges then, so I expect to see a lot of improvements when comparing 10.69.1.1 to that build. So without further ado, let's go for a drive and see how it does. And still one issue that I keep calling out, the speed limit's still around the city streets here in the residential city streets in Minneapolis and St. Paul. A lot of times incorrectly default to 30 miles per hour, as you see on the screen there. So, speed adjustments are required pretty much when operating FSD on these roads to do it safely. So I usually knock it down to 20, which is the actual speed limit, but sometimes 15, if depending on if there's like a lot of kids around and whatnot. But I haven't had any safety issues, obviously, at those speeds. So it's just one of those things where I think the map data needs to be adjusted because there's really no signs posted, or they might have to introduce some sort of contextual speed limit adjustment where it sees a bunch of tightly packed houses and cars parked on the street. Interesting behavior at this intersection here. I haven't seen it stop so early before. It is another one of those intersections that has really poor visibility to the left and right where traffic does not stop. So I will definitely report that. All right, we have a bus turning up here. Let's see if we slow down enough for it. Yep. All right, so the car properly came to a stop. I would have preferred to stop a little bit sooner because it should have noticed that bus was trying to turn, just to be more courteous. Still did the right thing. It just did it, I think, a little too late. And a good job here, confidently proceeding with this unprotected right turn here. We have traffic approaching around 30 miles an hour from our left there, but the car didn't overly hesitate. In previous builds, you'd see it overly hesitate there, and then we'd get ourselves in a situation where it would try to kind of cut in front of cars too late, and then jam on the brakes, or just put us in a bad spot where we'd have to intervene. So that sort of behavior just really hasn't shown itself so far in the few drives I've done with 10.69.1.1 so far. So I continue to kind of say this has been the most polished build I've had the pleasure of testing around Minneapolis so far. All right, and this is the dreaded unprotected left turn here on St. Anthony Parkway. This is a really tough intersection. It's the toughest one that I've seen to regularly cross. There's oncoming traffic here ahead of us here. I think we're going to be clear, so it's going to end up working out. But as you see there, very close to the right, I actually disengaged there because I grabbed the wheel. So definitely going to report that. Again, you see kind of two big issues with that intersection. The first is that the car incorrectly aligns itself to the right before making that turn. It's one of those things that definitely confuses surrounding drivers and makes you as the driver feel pretty nervous, especially considering that then there's oncoming traffic, approaching you at about 30 miles an hour, and that you're going to supposedly be turning across. So a lot of times there, the car will react too slowly, and then it puts us in a bad spot, interfacing with oncoming traffic. So I frequently disengage there. It's very rare that the car gets that right, and usually when there's no cars there, that's the only time I let it actually complete the turn. But even then, you saw the line selection, it gets way too close to that curb on the right, and then it tries to kind of almost go over the center line after it completes the turn. I've seen that in previous builds as well. So that continues to be one of those really, really challenging areas for Beta, and I hope in the future that's something that they can adjust. I think the first thing that'll kind of fix that one is just adjusting the posture before the turn. So all right, so we have a car on our right there. It looks like you saw it had trouble picking it up there. So we had a little bit of hesitation. That was a bit jarring there. So I'm going to report that. It looks like it had a tough time picking out the car that was actually driving and versus the parked cars around. A little bit of aggressive braking there on those pedestrians. I don't know if I would have hit the brakes that hard if I was driving, so I'm going to report that. For the most part, behavior on VRUs has been pretty good, and I know they're being overly cautious still in general. There's definitely been an improvement where it is less jerky and more confident, especially when pedestrians are on the sidewalks like you see around the street. In 10.69.1, I had a lot of slowing, phantom slowing around pedestrians that were nowhere near our path of driving. So still improvements there overall, but as you see, there's some work to be done. If we had a car behind us, that braking behavior would have been not so safe. So definitely some areas for them to focus on further. All right, and up here is the intersection of St. Anthony Boulevard, and we're just crossing Silver Lake Road right now. And as you saw, the car tried to signal to the right, and in previous builds, before 10.69 or any of those builds, the car would try to get in the right turn lane there, which is turn only, even though we have to go straight through this intersection. So it would either result in a lot of confusion and zigging and zagging back and forth, otherwise it would result in a disengagement. So that issue now throughout each of these 10.69 builds that I've gotten so far, this issue has been it's stayed resolved. So it's been one that's been there for over a year, so it's really good to see that some of these long-standing issues are starting to get fixed. It really speaks to the work that the Autopilot team is doing, so kudos to them. All right, so up here at this intersection here off of we're on Industrial Boulevard right now. The car would, in the past, if you were in that left lane, it would try to kind of cross over, and you see here it's getting into the wrong lane again. So let's see if it figures it out quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to have to intervene here and get back over. So you see how we get kind of confused there. I did notice in OpenStreetMaps that area is mapped incorrectly, so I've corrected that. So hopefully in a future navigation update that issue is fixed. But it's one of those areas that I was hoping the deep lane guidance module would kind of help resolve. But as you can see there, it still makes the wrong lane change. It does try to fix itself, but when there's more traffic around here, I'm going to report that. When there's more traffic around here, that lane bobble left to or right to left and back or whatever is something that causes problems, and you can kind of get yourself a situation where nobody lets you back into the turn lane then, which is on the left. So still some challenges there. I think that's just a basic map update issue that they have to kind of resolve. Either that or just be better about perceiving what lane they should be in. With the left turn upcoming, you'd always want to stay in the left lane. If you have a left turn coming up, that's just kind of common sense. So maybe they can add some better heuristics there to their code. So, all right, I'll be getting on the freeway here, or I should say highway. It's Highway 280 for just a little bit, for maybe a few minutes here. Did a great job handling that corner there, no jerkiness throughout the corner, and now we're properly accelerating on the freeway. So in some of the earlier 10.x builds, the merge code was really bad. But then you saw the screen there, it just switched to the traditional Autopilot stack now, where it will remain on that for the rest of this short stint on Highway 280. All right, so we just exited Highway 280, and now we are going to be making a left turn here on a Territorial Road here in St. Paul, and then we'll be at our destination here shortly. So we just got one left turn here. In the past, this one's been a little jerky. We have, looks like some pedestrians hanging out by the streetlight here. Let's see if we have any phantom braking here as it picks them up. Nope, that was super confident behavior there. So no jerkiness on the throttle or brakes. We would have seen similar behavior like that with 10.69.1, where once it picked up the pedestrians kind of hiding behind the street light there, it would have definitely caused some jerkiness on the brakes and whatnot. So those issues seem to have been resolved in 69.1.1, so that's really good to see. And again, one of the reasons why I continue to say this has been the best build to date so far. So our destination here is right past the stoplight. I'll let it do the right turn, and then we'll be at our destination. So I'll take over from there to park. The car looks like it's using a little bit of the bike lane there to make the turn. Very, very confident proceeding on green. So honestly, great job. I don't think we had one disengagement this entire drive. So again, things continue to improve here. I think we're really close here to seeing 10.69 or a derivative of that version roll out to the rest of the FSD beta testers out there in the public. So fingers crossed for you guys. I know you guys have been patient. It's been over 100 days now since 10.12.2 rolled out. So looking forward to you guys getting some seat time with FSD here again, the newer release, and driving around your road. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.